That's okay.
Hi, I'm Rebecca.
I'm Todd.
Have a beer with us.
She's having a pear. I'm having a cookie and a chicken sandwich
And
and the Diet Coke.
we were just talking about the idea or philosophy that everything happens for a reason. Just happened to be on TV, so
Yeah, there was some advertisement or something that said everything happens for a reason. And I told Rebecca, I don't believe that. I'm not. I think sometimes stuff just happens.
I have to tell you guys that tonight the pear is not going to get as beautiful little slices as it normally does.
Rebecca's having basically a
A butter knife.
Dell kitchen knife to have to cut her pear with. If you can't guess, we're not at home. So that's what she's got to use.
You show them your jewelry.
Oh, this?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm in the hospital.
so we're not home. But
No, I'm not dead or dying,
he's fine.
but I've had to spend a couple of nights in the hospital to get some medicine that it's, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's kind of like,
It has to be kick-started by IV.
yeah, and I have to have this medicine 24 hours straight through an IV before I can start taking the pill tomorrow or whatever. So yeah, I was stuck in the hospital for 2 nights getting this IV in my arm.
And since they don't let you bring a knife through security or anything, the dull,
She's stuck with the knife they have in the cafeteria at the hospital.
which is where we are.
And if you hear a TV in the background, it's a few aisles over at the cafeteria. But back to our philosophical discussion. The TV ad was saying everything happens for a reason, and I was saying I don't believe that. Like I just dropped a piece of my chicken sandwich. I don't think that happened for a reason. I think that was just me being clumsy.
But it could also be the, I don't know, cockroach families in the walls.
Like a psychic cockroach that made me drop it or something.
I'm just teasing. I'm just being a little bit of a devil's advocate here while butchering this poor pear. So
And I'm not saying nothing happens for a reason. I would guess it probably does, but
not everything does.
not everything does.
I can get behind that. Of like, okay, I think there are some things that there is, and also, so I'm not really a big, huge country music fan, but I do like that Garth Brooks song and the message kind of behind it, like the unanswered prayers.
Oh, unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
That's not a bad song.
Because, you know, I work with kids in foster care, and like I had some kids that were kind of troublemakers, and they were with a family member who could no longer really care for them because of their own health. And one day, one of these kids was talking about, I just pray that we can go back home, and, you know, and it wasn't going to happen. And I knew that, and we had this whole conversation about all the stuff that they were doing before they came into foster care. And because they had such limited supervision, it was a situation where one of her siblings was going to end up in jail. They just were not being supervised at all. And so it, you know, was kind of a drinking and drugging and all the things. And
Careful not to say too much.
I know, I'm not. And, you know, and so, you know, while I get, she had this prayer of, I want what's best or what she perceived as best for herself right then, which was kind of that selfish but appropriate. I want to be where I want to be, which is not at all uncommon for kids in foster care. But it's like, what was that eventual thing that could have or would have happened had they not? And when we kind of talked about that, she was like, oh, yeah. And she actually mentioned one of her siblings that was like, yeah, they would be in jail right now.
Yeah.
And
I'm eating an apple now, in case you can't tell, and I'm not slicing mine up
the slicing
because I'm not a psycho, or I'm a different kind of psycho.
Okay, so how long are normally these videos?
I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I am not just eating it very quickly like this. I'm slicing it up and taking some time and some thought.
She's taking her time.
Well,
I don't normally eat like that. Back on the topic of everything happening for a reason, I can show an example of kind of how I look at things.
okay.
For those of you old enough to remember the movie Forrest Gump, there's a scene at the end of the movie when, spoiler alert, Forrest is at Jenny's gravesite, and he talks about he doesn't know if Mama was right, that everything happened for a reason, or if Lieutenant Dan was right, that everything is just kind of chaos and random. And then Forrest says, I think maybe it's a bit of both. And that's kind of how I come from things. I think that's a very mature point of view, that maybe everything, it's kind of a bit of both. Some things happen for a reason, some things don't. Maybe it's a mixture of all the above.
I tend to skew very agnostic. Meaning I believe that I don't have that ability to comprehend all that is out there. If I subscribed to kind of the God has this master plan for everything and everything is happening for a reason, then I kind of think God's a dick. I mean, you're telling me all these kids that I work with that have been for abuse and neglect, it was for some grand reason. That's bullshit.
A lot of people would say that.
Yes, they had to experience pain, so no, statistically these kids are more likely to end up homeless in the long run, to end up in poverty, that kind of thing. It's not like this was some great lesson that then has, hey, now I'm going to go out and, have my 2.5 children and marry a millionaire. And they did nothing to deserve that. I mean, truly, most homeless people in large cities, statistically, a lot of them have aged out of foster care and don't have that family support. And so, that's just my thoughts. I hope that I just have a very limited understanding. And it's kind of like that whole thought of, God will never give you more than you can handle.
Which is not in the Bible.
I know.
A lot of people say it is, but it's not in the Bible. It doesn't say that exactly.
It's still kind of a philosophy that's out there, and I don't agree with that either. I think that God hands lots of people more than they can handle, and
But to play devil's advocate, somebody could also argue it's like, if these children are abused or they're homeless, if God has given us free will, then is it his fault if these kids are homeless or abused or whatever?
well, and
I mean, there's arguments either way. You could say, yes, it is for creating in the first place, but it's like, okay, well, then a lot of good things will come out of creation too.
Yeah, and so
And again, this is just talking about if you believe in God. If you don't, then
yeah.
it's a different thing. But
Well, and
Yeah.
again, that's kind of why I tend to skew more agnostic. I know that even with my own kids, you as a parent can see things coming. One of my boys has a little bit of a lead foot. I knew it, have said to him several times, hey kid, you need to slow it down or you're going to end up with a ticket. I didn't know a specific time and date and all that kind of good stuff. I'm not omnipotent about it, but I could kind of see it coming. And so, we had talked about, hey, car insurance is going to go up and all these things, and you need to slow down. Well, guess what? You got a ticket. Free will.
didn't you get like 3 tickets in like 6 months or something like that?
Well,
I mean, they weren't all speeding, but they
Yeah.
were different things. But
yeah.
admittedly, he was a young driver, but still, he wasn't that young.
He had his fender bender, and then he had a stop sign ticket and a speeding ticket. So yes, there was multiple.
Plus the thing down by the beach, which I think was a combination.
That was a couple years later.
Yeah, that's true. That was,
But anyway, yes, he's not a great driver, or not a careful driver. I'll say the bad driver, just lead foot kind of thing. And to be fair about the stop sign, I do think that was it was back in a neighborhood and very poorly placed, kind of behind a tree. But anyway, sometimes you see things coming, and being kind of that argument of everything happens for a reason and God has this plan for us, but then there's also free will. I can get behind the, hey, you can see it coming just like any parent would, or is it indeed some grand plan out there, in which case, again, if you had a grand plan and you were letting people go through some of the things that they do, then God's a dealer. I hope I am wrong, and I hope that there's just more to the story that I don't understand. And I think that's the case, and that's why I skew agnostic, because I want to be hopeful that there is more to it that I just...
but if God created, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but if God created us and put us down here and gave us free will, why is it God's fault or God's duty even to ensure that bad things don't happen to people? And let me go on to say, maybe that's why we're here, is to help each other so bad things don't happen to people. But we're the real jerks in the whole thing.
Oh, I know we're drunk. That's not even a question.
I mean, because, and another way to look at it is like, okay, if God did step in and stop bad things from happening all the time, let's say God did that, very quickly we lose free will. So, and I'm not saying I approve of bad things happening to people, especially children or whatever, but I mean, I think there's not even religious, but philosophical arguments that can be made one way or another.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, well, in that case, where's the steak at?
They're shutting down this weekend cafeteria. We're in a rural hospital that is having some construction done to their cafeteria, and so it really is, but there's like, I don't know, 6 chicken sandwiches left over from dinner service.
And she said help herself, so I'm like, where's the steak and lobster?
Yeah, it wouldn't be help yourself if it was steak and lobster. But very nice of them to not throw away the food and offer it.
But no, the argument that there have been any number of atheists and agnostics who say there can't be a God or there's not likely to be a God because bad things happen to people. I personally think that's kind of a weak argument. And I'm not saying, I'm not arguing that there is a God necessarily. I just don't think that is logically an extremely strong argument. I think it's an emotional argument. I just don't think it's a very logical argument.
I just think if that original kind of thought that we were talking about is that everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
then I have a problem with, no, these things don't have to happen.
Well, here's
for a
another.
reason.
Here's another. What if everything does happen for a reason? It's not necessarily a good reason. What if it's a reason that sucks?
Well, again, then back to my thought of, well, if that's the way it is, then cause it did. And again, it's not like I'm having personal conversations there, or they're one-sided. I guess if there are.
Well, I mean, a lot of Christians seem to believe or think that.
They have that personal relationship with God.
Well, a lot of them seem to believe that God has given a Satan or Lucifer figure or some kind of evil figure a certain amount of autonomy in the world to either do or let bad things happen.
Well,
While I'm not going to say, again, I'm trying to look at this objectively from the outside. I also don't think that's necessarily strong evidence. I mean, even if you read the Bible, there's a Lucifer or Satan-esque figure, but they really don't play that big a role in most of the Bible. I mean, honestly. There's the temptation of Jesus, the book of Job. I mean, really, other than that, other than those two things, I think the so-called Satan is just kind of mentioned for the most part. I'm trying to think of another scenario.
well, also, I mean, it may be like, I guess to put it very simplistic, remember in Men in Black where kind of at the end the animation is that, hey, we're, you know, in this big galaxy and stuff. That's a marble that goes in somebody's locker,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and
That
we're just
could be something like that
like
too.
we're the ants
Yeah.
that, hey, God knows we're here. I set up the ant farm, and yeah, then do your thing.
Yeah, and I mean, and from a scientific and logical point of view, if the universe is really as big as we tend to believe that it is, it's almost unfathomable that we would be the only
Yeah.
life form. Honestly, even the only intelligent life forms. In fact, if there is such a thing as intelligent life forms, they might not consider us all that intelligent, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, that's not to say intelligent life is necessarily common,
No.
but with, I mean, God doesn't our Milky Way galaxy alone have something like 2 or 3 billion stars and something? And I mean, and there's like another 2 or 3 billion galaxies, and that's just what we can kind of see.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know.
I mean, they took the Webb telescope and pointed it to what they thought was an empty piece of space. We don't see any planets, we don't see anything here. And zoomed in and zoomed in and zoomed in, only to see thousands more galaxies and things that, you know, only as technology has improved, are they not even starting to have the hint of kind of that
Yeah.
breadth of what's out there.
So, I mean, it's really, we're a speck of dust inside a speck of dust inside a speck of dust inside a speck of dust. So it's, I mean, and the distances and the time frames are so vast that,
Yeah.
you know, we may never know if there's another intelligent life form out there or life at all. But,
But that's why I tend to skew agnostic, is because I do recognize there's so much more to the picture than what I can see and know. I grew up Catholic, and right now I'm in a community that tends to be more evangelical, Southern Baptist kind of thing. And one of the things that I hear is people talking about their personal relationship with Jesus. And I'm not going to say that none of them have any personal relationship with Jesus, but I almost see that then there's this cop-out kind of situation of the rules don't apply to me. It's like
I'm forgiven, so I can do anything I want.
well, it's like I read this article once that I found really interesting that was about a doctor who performed abortions. And he said women could be in the middle of getting an abortion, cussing him out, talking about what a murderer he was and things like that, while they're having their own abortion. But they are able to excuse their own behaviors, and or there's an exception for,
But not anyone else's.
right, okay for me, but not for thee.
Again, I'm saved, so I can do anything.
And I will say that growing up Catholic, one of the sacraments within the Catholic Church is confession. And I get there's a lot of people out there who are just kind of like, oh, you just go confess your sins and do whatever. And
That's not how that works either.
and it's not. I mean, the idea is to truly be sorry and remorseful and be committed to not making those same errors and to grow from it. And again, it sounds like a good loophole. I just go out and murder somebody, and no. And maybe that's part of it. This was a very formal, instead of that informal, oh, I'm going to say my prayer. Please, Jesus, sorry, whatever. And maybe that's a very simplistic approach, but actually having to confess to somebody, I get it's a priest, and that's still, there's something very humbling about that. And
Well, I think it's been shown that psychologically it's good for a lot of people. Maybe not everybody,
yeah,
but it's so in a lot of ways, priests or even pastors very often act as a psychiatrist even, or a counselor at the very least. And I think even Protestants, a lot of times the pastors and preachers act in that regard. Maybe not as the confessors, but
yeah.
but then again, you being raised Catholics, I don't think Catholics quite have the whole personal relationship with Jesus thing, or not as much.
Right.
Anyway, same
Well,
as like
that's fine.
Catholics don't have. It's not.
And I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, I know you're not saying one's better or the other, but Catholics also don't have a stronger tradition of individuals reading the Bible, as say most evangelical churches do. And I mean, Catholicism historically
Yeah.
is dependent upon reading the Bible. Not that they don't consider it extremely important, but I forget who it was, but somebody told me one time that the way evangelicals look at or treat the Bible, or look at the Bible, is the way Catholics treat or look at the Pope. And I can see a lot of that. I'm not sure that's quite as accurate in this day and age, but even 50 years ago or 60 years ago, I think it probably would have been.
Probably through Pope John, or Pope John II. John Paul.
John Paul II. I think a lot changed with him, or under his tenure, or whatever, rule, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. I'm finished my hair. Oh, and here, I'm blind as a bat. Okay, we're 24 minutes in.
Probably time to wind down.
Well, I was going to make this point here because part of the pair, whether I'm doing it in front of a camera or not, is that it's taking some time, A, for me to kind of wind down and relax, or B, food to digest and to feel fuller. Because I cut them up in little strips, it's kind of like,
Are you going to show them that now?
in just a second, I was going to finish my thought.
Okay.
I can I'm usually full by the time I'm done my pear. And it's kind of like chips because they're nice thin whatever. And so it's my moment of zen. It's calming. It's roughly 30 minutes kind of to myself to have this ritual, whatever. And so I get that it's a little bit goofy that I'm slicing my pear like this, but it has those couple of reasons. And so it is, I'm trying to make food not just, I'm trying to really change my relationship with food. And so to have one small thing that is almost meditative, slicing, preparing, whatever, and then eating and whatever, I'm having 30 minutes of kind of me time. And sometimes I do that at home, sometimes I even do it at the office, whatever. And that's not to say that I'm doing perfect with everything. I'm having a bite of his red velvet cookie.
That whole cookie I ate like 20 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, she saved a bite of it for after her pear.
I'm trying to listen to the glucose goddess. Eat your fiber and protein first, carbs last.
And carbs last.
And that's supposed to help with the digestion.
And I probably do just the opposite of that most of the time.
I think
Not
we
all the time.
I think we all do. You go to a restaurant, they give you the rolls first and that kind of thing.
Well,
Trying to be accountable.
so we're supposed to be winding down, so like, share, and subscribe, ring that bell.
Whatever. And I'm going to also say that part of the accountability is doing this while you're in the hospital. We could have, and maybe should have, I don't know, skipped. And to be fair, we have for a day
It's
or
been
two.
a few days, yeah.
But I think that it is important because one of the things that I have been stressing to Ty, and that is a hard thing because he is being a caregiver right now, is to listen to your body. Do not stress yourself so much over the things that you cannot fix. And also, you cannot light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I know that he loves his mother, and also he needs to take care of his own health first, and I need to take care of my health first. Otherwise, we're never going to, he's going to outlive us both. And she probably is. I mean, just out of spite, but
The dog's probably going to outlive us both. And this week, the cat's going to outlive us both.
well, that cat's already really old.
Yeah, we have a cat who's probably, I'm going to guess Abby's about 14. And she's definitely slowed down, but she's not stopped.
No. I do tease my son that Abby is his girlfriend because he's totally taken over care of her. I guess not totally, but, you know, the cat is probably the girl in his life that he's closest to.
Probably. Or his boss.
Oh, that's true. He's Mickey. Although, to be fair, I haven't met her, but I think she's like my age.
I don't know if she's quite that old, but I do think she's in her 40s probably.
Where do you think I'm at, hon?
There are different levels of 40s. Go back to being an agnostic.
You know, he's 22. I'm not saying that
Like
he's
50s, there are different levels of 50s. You don't realize that when you're not old enough yet.
And apparently, I'm the old kind of 40.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just said there are different levels of 40.
You didn't have to say it. You strongly implied it. But I'll
I
take
know
it.
which end of 50 I'm at. Or I'm barreling towards.
Okay. You ready to head back up to the room?
Yeah, we can head back.
Thanks for eating a pear with us. Have a good night.